Welcome. God damn, dude. Hey, how's it going? Good.
Gas station by Clay. don't matter. Just do your thing. Oh. Here, let me give you again. Go for it.
Lord, what am I doing? Yeah, so that night actually ended a little bit early because I was running into a voltage dip issue. All right, guys, so as you can see, I got the bike apart again. As with anything new, you find the shortcomings of this stuff. So you can see I got the battery out right here. Sorry about the tools. I got to throw those back in the box. But anyways, but yeah, like I was saying, with anything new, you kind of find the shortcomings of, you know, little nuances here and there. So it's looking like this bike, with, you know, all the new electronics that I'm running on it, is really taxing the charging system. So it seems like at night, you know, once everything, all the electronics are on, mainly the lights, because this headlight by itself will pull like 30 watts. And with this new engine, I did upgrade to the WR450F stator, which is 140 watt output. But I think it's just a little bit too small for all the electronics that I'm running. Because you got to remember, current draw is a little dynamic. So as RPM and load goes up, the dwell on this coil changes. So it's actually pulling more current. Same with the fuel pump as well, because obviously as you get in the boost, especially with this boost reference fuel pressure regulator right here, it's putting more load on the fuel pump, so it's pulling even more current the more boost that I make, because it's having to work harder because the fuel pressure is higher because it's boost pressure raising the base pressure of the fuel pressure. So yeah, so it's kind of a compounding issue. I do have a backup plan, because I think I had mentioned in my previous video that I had upgraded to this Noco battery. So this I'll actually probably end up returning, because I think this battery is way too small for what I'm doing. And this was kind of something that was in the back of my head the whole time, because this right here is a 2 amp hour battery. So it's not really much room for reserve, because if you look in the WR450F or YZ450F manual, this stator, which is behind this cover right here, it has a power output rating at given RPMs. So I want to say at, I think it's 5,500 RPM, that's when it's kind of like making its peak voltage output. So obviously my bike doesn't idle at 5,500 RPM, so it doesn't really account for the times when, you know, I'm like just chilling and sitting and idling at 2,000 RPM with the lights on and basically the electrical system at full load. So I'm actually upgrading to a Group 10 size battery. You can see right here, this is a Group 5 size, so it's literally like double the size. But luckily, I'm able to relocate a few things, particularly the starter relay, which is right there on the ground. That'll have to get relocated, but you can see I already started modifying this box right here. So this is basically all real estate for a battery now. And the new one that I'm upgrading to is a full spectrum. It is a 10S battery. Actually, you know what? I'll put it in the video right here, and then I'll show you guys the specs of it. But it would be a massive upgrade, you know, versus the Noco. And there's no shots at Noco at all. It's too small for my application. That's just point blank, period. So let me drop the battery in the chat, or I'm sorry, in the video, and then you guys can check out the specs of it. All right, so as you guys can see, the new full spectrum battery would be, you know, a massive upgrade from the current Noco battery that I have right now. And don't get me wrong, this isn't, you know, a shot at Noco in any way, shape, or form. This battery just isn't sufficient for what I'm doing on my bike because of all the electronics that I'm running now. 2 amp hours, that's just not enough reserve to, you know, give me a little bit of a buffer for when I'm not running, you know, above 5,000 RPM or so. But to be completely honest, though, the real issue is really this stator right here. So like I said, that's a 140 watt stator. Realistically, I probably need like a 200 watt stator, and, you know, that should, you know, really alleviate any type of like charging issue or voltage drop issue that I'm having. But I will say that the WR450Fs, the stock bikes, they actually come with 12 volt 6 amp hour batteries, and that actually makes a lot more sense because it's, you know, it's dedicated for like trail riding and set up for like lights and all the electric or all the extra electronics that a motocross bike wouldn't have. So it makes sense. Like I said, it was just a oversight on my part, but it's no big deal. But the good thing is that that full spectrum battery would actually fit in this location perfectly. I actually have more than enough room for it. And I actually had to throw the seat back on to measure. Oh, that fell. You see what I'm talking about right here. But I basically just threw a tape measure under there. But you can see how the seat is like clearance for this battery area. So that helps me out like tremendously. But the new battery is 4.1 inches tall, or 4.2 inches tall, if I'm not mistaken. And I want to say like I think it's 3.4 inches in width. So it'll stick out in this direction, which will also clear. And then 5.9 inches in length, which is where it was most challenging. But like I said, that right there, that starter relay is going to get relocated. Maybe like on the side of the battery or up in that little area right there by the tank, which isn't a big deal. I can easily do that. But hopefully this will be a at least a nice little band-aid fix. I want to reach out to a few more companies, 2 more companies, to see if the stator rewind is an option. But from what I'm hearing, it's kind of on the max end of the spectrum for wattage output, I guess you could say. But I do think the new battery will help me out a lot, because that's literally 6 times the amount of reserve that I have now, and it's really a non-issue until, you know, the lights are on for an extended period of time. So I think by having that extra reserve capacity, that might fix my issue. But yeah, so the full spectrum battery is ordered, so hopefully I get that in this week. I probably will just rock this one around for the time being, and you know, pretty much go from there. But the nice thing about this Moto gadget right here is it actually shows me the live current draw of the entire electrical system, even more specifically down to each circuit. So I can see like how much the fuel pump is pulling, how much the headlight is pulling, and then obviously like an overall current draw. So I'll throw some pics up in the video as well. And remember, this is a 140 watt stator. The value on these pictures will be rated in wattage. Yeah, so the current draw is basically like right on the tail end of what this 140 watt stator can supply. So that's kind of like the real issue there. But as you can see in those pictures that I just threw in the video, it was pulling 144 watts. It was like 12.1 amps. And that was with everything turned on the bike, the ECU, engine running, headlight, tail light. And then I was also revving it to, I want to say about 9,500, 10,000 RPM and short blips, obviously. But I had even entertained the idea of putting a 16 volt setup on this bike. And that's something that's actually really common in the racing world, because a lot of people that run like those methanol setups, they prefer to have 16 volts because that gives them more ignition energy, which is something that's kind of like required for a methanol setup because you're burning so much fuel. And then the good thing about that is Full Spectrum actually sells a 16 volt lithium race battery that would also fit in this location. The only thing I have to do homework on is to see if I can get a rectifier regulator to go from, I think this stator puts out like 35 volts AC, and then it converts it down to like 13.5 volts DC. So I would have to find a compatible regulator that would output somewhere in the neighborhood of like 17 volts. So you have like charging voltage to keep the battery charged. That's something that I have to look into. But the 16 volt stuff is really nice because it would actually lower the current draw. Because if you have more initial voltage, everything basically, it doesn't have to work as hard to provide the same results as it would on 12 volts. So it would essentially bring down the current draw, which would help me in my case. But yeah, I have to do more homework on that and see if that's something that's actually like even possible realistically. But yeah, so I'll probably rock with this battery for the time being, and then just try to limp it along until I can get that Full Spectrum battery in the mail, and then pretty much go from there. Till then, I'll probably throw this video up in the next day or so, and then I got a few more I gotta edit, so stay on the lookout. Content definitely will be a lot more frequent. I know I was slacking for a little bit, but yeah, just stay on the lookout, and then obviously go from there. So peace.